You'll not only see adults at the polls, but you'll see kids too. Find out why, coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on kids voting of Horry County, and we're visiting with its executive director, Elizabeth Teal. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in.
There's so much going on. It's just
insane.
a busy time, huh?
How are you going to sleep tonight?
I doubt I sleep a lot.
You will not.
What do you think?
Yeah, you know, we've got Vernie Dove coming in tomorrow, obviously, who founded Kids Voting here in Horry County. And I called him earlier today earlier this morning to remind him, you know, and he said, why are you calling me so early? But I said, you know, to remind you to get in tomorrow. And he said, you know, and you got Elizabeth coming in today, she's not going to be sleeping for the next couple of days.
Oh, you could call me anytime. 4 o'clock the next day, I'll be up.
It is so exciting to see the impact that kids voting is having year-round, Elizabeth.
Right. You know, one of the great things about the program is that it goes so far beyond just Election Day. You know, we're doing activities that help the kids, of course, prepare for tomorrow. I mean, that's the big, huge, somewhat culminating event. But then, you know, there are activities that are going to go on when we do the inauguration, and then you can take those results from tomorrow in statistics classes or any other math class and really look at them in a mathematic way and really use them in the classroom. So there's a lot there for teachers to use, and so we're just really excited to have the community support and to be able to have kids vote tomorrow. You know, that's an exciting thing.
This is kids of all ages.
It is. It is.
Kids of all ages.
We even have kids come and vote that are younger than kindergarten age, but the program's designed for kindergarten through 12th grade. And the curriculum lessons that the teachers do are geared towards their learning ability. Kindergarten students, for instance, might be doing something as simple as choosing a snack. And if you have a vote on if we're going to have apples or oranges, well, then the next day you might have the teacher pass out the apples and say, okay, why are we having apples today? And the students would, you know, hopefully raise their hand and say, well, yesterday we voted and we, you know, apples won. Right. Well, and then you explain very simply that that's how democracy works. So even the youngest students can understand that. And then, of course, the older students have so much more that they can do because, you know, this time of the year there's so much to learn. Oh, yeah. The political cartoons that are out there are great, and middle and high school students are really having a good time with those. Oh, yeah. A really great time with those.
They can track those all over the country.
Oh, yes, yes.
That are impacting, of course, the thrill of really hitting on the presidential candidates. I mean, obviously each state has their own senatorial or congressional candidates, but golly, the presidential
when you have a presidential race, it really kind of brings everyone together because, you know, kids voting is a national program. We are a franchise here in Horry County, and we have also in Georgetown County we have a program there, but everyone, whether they're in Hawaii, where they have a program, obviously, South Dakota, Georgia, everybody's focusing on the presidential election at the same time. So it's kind of neat to think. And I tell kids, you know, you have to remember that what you're doing with Election Day here tomorrow is going to be the same thing that kids are doing all over the country. And it is something that we think is going to really change what happens to the future of Horry County, because if we get these kids started early, understanding basics, the importance of government and democracy, making good decisions, and then learning their polling place, because, you know, one thing a lot of people don't know, there are 108 places that you can vote in Horry County.
Oh, come on, 108?
I know. There are 33 in Georgetown, but we have 108 places to vote here.
Wow.
And we have a presence, kids voting, in every single one of those polling places, and of course that means volunteers. So, you know, we're going to have well over 500 people tomorrow helping kids voting. But it is a great thing. Yeah. And what we're seeing, though, I feel very strongly that these kids, they learn where they go vote. They go vote as children. Then when they become of voting age, the fear is gone. You know, they are then, it's almost a habit that we're helping to create, and it's a good one, you know.
And it has to be habitual. You really have to get in that mindset because it's so easy to blow it off if it's bad weather.
Oh, I say that, you know, if it's raining, we do see direct relation.
Right.
But yet we take the people in South Africa or in Afghanistan, and they would wait in line, as many, you know, many of them for days.
Hurricane, yeah.
To have that voice. And here we take it for granted. So hopefully, with a program like Kids Voting, we're helping people to remember that this is a right and a privilege that, you know, a lot of people fought and died for.
Oh, yeah, truly. Golly, and you think about it even 85 years ago, where women didn't even have the right to vote, weren't recognized until 1920 as even full citizens.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of other Americans.
We have a great activity, and I think it's a middle school lesson where we have the kids actually do something that helps them understand that. And all the kids in the classroom stand up, and the teacher will kind of choose some things that they have control over, the color of their hair, their eyes, some that they that they don't have control over, the hair and eyes, some that they do, what they're wearing, jeans or, you know, a blue shirt or whatever. And you would say to the student, if you're wearing jeans, you can stand up, remain standing. Everybody else sits down. If you have blonde hair and you're wearing jeans, you can remain standing. Everybody else sit down. And then you end up with just maybe 2 kids who have met all of the criteria. And then you say, okay, these 2 kids are going to make the decisions for the rest of the day, what we're going to do, how long we're going to spend doing it, if we're going to spend more time on math or if we're going to spend more time on science, and then it doesn't take long before the grumbling to start.
Oh, yeah.
That's not fair, that's not fair.
Right.
But that is a wonderful segue into, do you know that this is pretty much how voting was? That you had to be white, male, and landowner to vote for years. And how do you think people felt? Well, now you kind of know because you weren't given you didn't have that. You weren't wearing the right thing today, or your hair wasn't the right color, so you were denied that opportunity to be a part of what we're doing.
That's powerful.
Yes.
That's
and it's easy, though. It's easy for kids to see it when we do it early, you know, and we can we hope, plant that seed and ignite that spark so they'll be excited about being a citizen of the United States, because sometimes, like you said, we do take it for granted.
That equality aspect is something that children need to learn at an early age. I'm so glad, whether the civics teacher is doing that or they can even do that, as you say, at a very early age, to help them begin recognizing that the differences really change when you get in that voting booth. And
how much how important every single vote is. Ask any voter in Florida, that's our little, from the 2000 election, every single vote makes a difference. And, there's one political cartoon in some of our materials that have there's a man in his bed at home, and the bubble says, "My vote won't count." And then there's a snapshot of a neighborhood of like 6 houses, and all of the bubbles above the houses, "My vote won't count." And then the whole city, and you have hundreds of bubbles, and you see, yes, if everyone thought their vote didn't count, who would vote? So it is so important. So hopefully tomorrow, those children will help their parents make the commitment to go to the polls,
Am I right that school's out tomorrow?
School's out today and tomorrow.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and this is... Today is the end of the grading period for the 9 weeks with the school district, and this is a teacher work day. Right. So the only people that are in schools today are teachers. And then tomorrow, everyone does have the day out. No school tomorrow.
Because it's election day.
Right. Anytime there's a general election, it's a South Carolina law that schools are closed.
Now, do you have any idea if other states are that way?
Some are, some aren't.
I wonder if North Carolina would have that.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
I was talking to somebody who said that in North Carolina they allow you to vote a couple of days before the election.
They have early voting there, and they have early voting in many states. I think, there are probably over 20 this year that have early voting. Really? In fact, my in-laws went to vote early, and they live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and they went to, I think they designate certain precincts.
Right.
They went to the precinct in Chapel Hill, and they told them, and this was well over a week ago, there was a line, and the lady at the desk said that she She estimated the wait to be over an hour
Really?
to early vote, and that, like I said, was well over a week ago. But you know, at the elections office last week when I was there, they had voted absentee. You know, people that are going out of town
Right, sure.
can vote absentee, and in their office, their latest numbers were over 6,000 absentee.
Kidding. In Horry County
In
alone?
Horry County alone.
Wow.
I think this is going to be a really big election. You know, I think there's been a lot of publicity from all sides.
Right.
And so hopefully, you know, we'll take some of the credit. Kids voting has hopefully helped spur some of that interest too.
Yeah, and of course, visiting the kidsvotingusa.org site, I went on last night to try to prepare for this morning. You see kidsvotingusa.org. You click on South Carolina. If you go to
Right.
the page to click on South Carolina, you can actually see what the ballot looks like.
Right.
The ballot that you brought with you today that will
Right.
be there.
We're really proud of that ballot because, well, for a number of reasons, but one of the things we worked hard on were those constitutional questions and amendments, because I don't know if you have paid a lot of attention to those, but they are very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so with kids voting, what we've done, obviously we had to make them understandable for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we have broken those down into 2 and maybe 3 sentences at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the past, what we have seen with some of those bond referendums, the question might get a little long, and the questions that are asked, many of the adults will actually take a kid's voting ballot and read our questions to help them understand.
You're kidding.
No, I mean, because yes means yes here and
Yeah.
no means no, but
Yeah.
we just don't have all of the legalese attached to our questions. So, you know, for instance, should the law be changed to allow liquor sales in containers other than only mini bottles? Well, that's what the question says, but if you read it on the voting machine, it would take a college degree or more to
Sounds
understand
considerably different, right?
It does.
That was, and of course, as I was reviewing this online this morning before you brought this in, I was thinking, boy, that sounds very easy.
Right.
I mean, that's a slam dunk for either side. I
Right.
mean, you know,
It is.
as well as should the law be changed to allow larger corporations to pay less property on their farmland.
And that was the hardest question for us.
Yeah.
Honestly, number 2, I had not heard about it before, and so when our ballot committee worked together, we really had to work with that, and we had attorneys help us, and of course the state election commission approves everything that we do,
Right,
so we
sure.
make sure that yes means yes and no means no.
Yeah.
But that, I think, will be helpful tomorrow to adults, to
Okay.
just take a minute and look at our ballot.
Share with viewers, we got about 10 minutes, Elizabeth, what's happening tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow's going to be an exciting
When
day.
the parents come in with their children, obviously the parents they're going to different booths.
Right, but they do go to their official precinct. The kids go with their parents. It's not like they go to their school or they go to, they are doing some online voting with the older kids that I think we were going to talk about, but the young children go into the polls with their parents. The parents go this way, and there'll be a sign, which you can, I think, see. We brought one of them. There'll be a poster,
Right here.
and the kids voting cardboard booth. There'll be a volunteer to greet the students. They'll give them a ballot and help them fill out the top portion, which the top portion really, all it is for our tracking purposes. What school do you attend? What precinct is this? And what grade you're in? And then they vote in private. And they will, it's so simple that we try and make it complicated, I guess, especially when I try and train volunteers because, you know, it really is so simple that the kids are just asked basic questions at the top. You know, did you talk to your parents about the election? Did you talk about it in school? You vote yes or no. And then they have the same exact races that the adults do. They're voting on the same amendments and questions as the adults. So everything is just like you and I will see it when we go in our voting booth tomorrow.
Now, of course, you've got pictures of the presidential
Yes.
candidates here.
Did you know we had 7 people to choose from in South Carolina?
That is incredible. I see it now,
Right.
obviously, on the ballot. I had no idea
There's
till I
6
saw
people
it.
running for U.S. Senate.
That's incredible.
And we have them all listed because we want it to be as authentic as possible.
Right.
And then what happens, most of the teachers give extra credit or a little something to the kids to help encourage them to go to the polls. And so the students all get a sticker when they turn their ballot back in. And then at the end of the night, tomorrow night, we will actually tabulate these results at Coastal Carolina University, their Office of Assessment. They run those through these scanning machines, and then we tabulate the results and we report them through the media. So we'll be at Coastal Carolina late into the night getting our final results, and then they'll be put up on the school district's webpage.
That is fantastic. And, of course, you've got some great board members that can help get the word out
Yes.
as well.
And, they've done a great job. 108 places. That's a lot.
That is.
And so we need volunteers at all those places, and we broke the county down, and the board members each took an area, and they were responsible for trying to recruit volunteers for us. And what we have is a lot of civic organizations, clubs, social groups, the Optimist clubs, and businesses also who have what we call adopted a precinct, and they have their workers at each particular precinct. And so, like I said, there'll be over 500 people working tomorrow for kids voting.
That's incredible.
They'll all be wearing those great kids voting T-shirts.
Those are fantastic.
Can I
I
show
love
one?
it. Yeah, please share one with the viewers so they'll know.
And you'll probably see these around town because, of course, they're so nice looking.
Yeah.
Where do we put it?
Hold
so that
it
you
up.
can
No,
see?
that's good. That's good. The camera's on you. Make a difference. Vote. Kids voting, Horry County.
And then, of course, we recognize our sponsors on the back,
Oh,
and our
yeah.
presenting sponsors this year
Yeah.
are the Myrtle Beach Herald and Santee Cooper.
And Santee Cooper, absolutely. And, of course, WPD and the Sun News and Horry Electric, Myrtle Beach Women's Club, Zwing, Advertising Designs, HTC, and Time Warner. You got some superstar folks on there.
Well,
wow.
there are a lot of great people that are, behind this cause, and we really, really appreciate it because, we're a small nonprofit organization, but it does take money to run this election, and the ballots and the booths and the supplies, the teacher materials, they cost money, and so we do fundraising and we do need help, and we're just lucky that we have a good board to support us, and they've been really, really behind us, and they're working hard. And tomorrow will be a great day, though. Even if you don't have kids, take a few minutes when you're voting and just watch what goes on, because these kids they're excited, but they're also very serious. They have studied and they know what they want. And so, to overhear a kid talking to their parents about what they're getting ready to do often is just it's heartwarming, really is, because they are serious.
I bet it must be powerful. When I talked to Vernie a couple of weeks ago to talk to him about coming in tomorrow.
Right.
Thinking about that aspect for him, reflecting back on 10 years of having set up, having to help set up kids voting, and of course so many other volunteers back then. And then the way he talks about you and your involvement and them fortunate enough to bring you on, it must be very exhilarating.
Vernie Dove is just a special man, and he and I feel like he's another dad to me. I've been lucky to have a lot of great influences in my life, but Vernie and I came together, though, because of kids voting, and I'm so, happy for that. But we had such a great group of people helping us start this program, and, I really hope to see kids voting be in Horry County forever. And, one day I'd like to see it all over the state and every single school in our state participating. And so it will be up to us, though, to raise enough money to make that happen. So, but we're very lucky, and there are some great people behind it.
There are some amazing, and I wish I had had a better understanding of kids voting when I met with you and Matt Sedota to talk about the Herald being involved. I wish I had known about the impact that it has not only on kids but on their parents, on them working together as a team, whether it's a single parent or an entire family, the entire group of them getting together and going out to the polls together. And of course now some kids will come out without their parents.
Right, and the older kids, obviously.
Right, sure.
And one of the things that we've done this year that I wanted to just quickly tell you about is that the school district had last week an online initiative where the kids could go in with a special password if they chose to and vote online, same ballot, same thing, but those kids who may not have gone to the polls. We have seen in the past that the high school students really think they're a little too cool for this kind of stuff, I think, and we felt like by going online we could reach them in a way that that they're comfortable with. And so I don't think we'll see as many older kids in the polls because of the online initiative, But I think that what we'll see is that older kids, because of the online initiative, are actually taking time and making some good choices too. So,
do you have any idea what that response was? Did a number of the kids take them up on that?
Yes. In fact, the last that I heard, we had a pretty good percentage, but we're waiting for tomorrow night to give any results, because obviously we don't want to skew
anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
We're very careful about that.
And
Can't release any results early.
In North Carolina, they got to be very careful, because actual voters making some of those early decisions, and of course that's so important when we talk about weather. When we think, my God, you can go to the public library today, and the weather be great, and tomorrow it could be miserable.
Right. And how does that impact? And what is you know, there are a lot of ways to study voting, and I know that in the classroom the teachers are doing a great job of trying to bring some fun into it, because it's so interesting. If you can just kind of, like I said, plant that seed and ignite that spark, these kids, it's our job to do that, to get them involved. And we want good, productive citizens, and part of being a good citizen is voting.
It truly is, Elizabeth. You think about that aspect, of course, for y'all. I mean, the efforts here are more civic related. You're thinking about some of those duties of trying to encourage folks. Do y'all, within kids voting, of course, you never have that ability to reach out and support one candidate over the other.
Absolutely
y'all are entirely independent.
We are. We're nonpartisan, and that is totally not our job. I don't care who you vote for. Just understand how important it is to vote. So yes, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we are not here even on these questions. It is not our job to tell a student how to vote or who to vote for, or even interpret it for them. That's part of the lesson too. Research and determine fact versus fiction. Watch those political ads on television, and boy, they can kind of make your head spin. But the idea is for those students to take them and look at them, and then to really take it apart and to look at fact versus fiction, because even a newspaper article sometimes, we have an activity where you'd highlight facts with yellow, and orange would be maybe someone's, possibly their opinion, and go back and look at how much of your paper is actually yellow. It's interesting.
That would be.
Right.
That would be very powerful. I'm sure a great learning experience for students of all ages.
Right. It's a great teaching time. And, even like what happened in Florida 4 years ago, it was a great teaching moment. I mean, there was so much to be learned. How many of us really even paid attention to the Electoral College? I mean, what did we know? The average person, what did we know before what happened in the last presidential election, and how much of an impact that has? And we had an opportunity with that to really teach the kids.
I saw on the Colorado ballot tomorrow, they are voting at the same time to either blow off the Electoral College. Well, of course, it could have a dramatic impact because it takes effect immediately.
Right. Do you think it's going to pass? Have you seen any polls?
Nostradamus, yeah, I think it will pass tomorrow.
You do?
I think they want to be the independents that change. Colorado's always been very independent, and obviously I think they want to change the landscape of America, get the ball rolling.
Do you think that is a good thing? I just can't decide.
I haven't studied the Electoral College well enough to really be able to stand. I mean, to have a good opinion on that. I think it surely would bring into even greater perspective what happened in Florida.
Oh, right. Well, and if that had been the case in the Florida election, from what I understand, the election would have, the results would be different.
Sure.
And if we all changed that, all states, I guess it would force presidential candidates to visit everyone.
Well, of course, yeah.
But I don't know how they could get it all done.
The guy on the radio with Steve Porter in the mornings, Dave Priest, constantly promotes this. Why vote? Because the Electoral College is changing the landscape.
Actually, though, it may be true in the presidential election that someone else is going to cast that vote for you. But in every other race, it is so important.
Oh, no, of course.
Think about what we would do if no one voted, or if they said, oh, well, I know who's going to win, so I'm not going to go. Well, that one vote could have been the winning vote for your candidate.
That's exactly right. There are no Nostradamuses out there. We do not know who's going to win it. Elizabeth, for you, we got less than a minute. You think about that aspect. So many things going on during the year to get ready for tomorrow. And again, that simple question, how are you going to sleep tonight? How have you slept the last couple of weeks? How have you been there? Obviously, you've got kids, and you all have a lot of commitments going on. How do you turn to them during all this time?
I have a great husband and two wonderful children who have been most patient But I can promise you, my youngest son is ready for the election to be over because he wants his mommy to put him to bed at night, and I have not been a good mom this last few weeks. So I promise, Bo, I'm going to put you to bed Wednesday night.
That is fantastic. Elizabeth, thanks so much for being with us
Well,
this
thanks
morning.
for letting me come, and don't forget, tomorrow's the big day, so get out there and vote, and watch out for those kids because they're going to be there, and it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Elizabeth Teal coming up next. You think about phrases like civics alive and destination democracy and political participation. All these things sound good, but the real efforts happen all year long. They're leading up to tomorrow. These kids are making the efforts because they're making the efforts because parents and teachers and folks like Elizabeth Teal and all the board members and all the volunteers that are going to be out there tomorrow, 500 plus folks in Horry County alone. Think about it nationally with the 30 plus states that have picked up kids voting, places as far away as Hawaii or as far north as Maine. The commitment is there to let kids know from kindergarten up, from first grade to 12th grade, the importance of political participation, the importance of citizenship and democracy and reaching out and making that effort in your community. Get out there. As you heard us say that when you're sitting in the polling place, take a look at the kids getting involved. If there's not one standing there, stay around a few minutes. Wait for one to arrive and see how important it is to them. And know that you can make a difference. You can support kids voting. Give them a call after the election.